Oh-ha! Oh-ha! Screeching to see visitors on the forested Chimpanzee Island in Ivory Coast, Ponzo is the last lonely survivor of a colony of 20 apes who mysteriously died or vanished. An effort is underway to keep Ponzo alive and well in a West African country where the ape population has plummeted by 90% in just 2 decades. Chimpanzee Island adjoins the village of Grand Lahau in the Bandaman Estuary, an outlying reach of tropical forest about 100 kilometers or 60 miles from the commercial capital, Abidjan. Only Ponzo remains from the group of chimpanzees relocated to the tiny island from Liberia in 1983 by a research laboratory for medical tests. Since August 2015, the Association Les Amis de Ponzo, or Friends of Ponzo, has paid for the animal's food and for a dedicated carer, Germaine Jeremiah Koja, according to a wooden signpost near the landing stage and the website sosponzo.org. 2 years ago, Ponzo suffered a traumatic loss when his female companion and 2 children all died of unknown causes, said Koja, a retired farmer in his 60s. Since then, the animal has been the world's loneliest chimp, as SOS Ponzo puts it. Every morning, barefoot, Koja pushes through the water lilies on a makeshift boat to carry food and medication to the island, which lies just a few meters offshore. He is welcomed with cries and acrobatics by Ponzo, an ape about 1 meter or 3 feet tall, leaping from one branch to the next. Ponzo's like my child. I don't want to see him go. I'm making a call to have someone send me another female, says Koja, whose family specializes in primates, from his father down to Junior, his 21-year-old son. The small village community shares his determination to save Ponzo, whom residents now consider to be part of the family. The chimpanzee's isolation has also moved Francois Stevenson, the Franco-American owner of a hotel in Lahau, who has become the leader of a rescue committee. I have accepted the role of intermediary between well-wishers and Germaine, says Stevenson, who is in her 60s and has come to know Ponzo well. During my last visit, we exchanged kisses and praise. He put his nails in my ears and then my nose, Stevenson says. I left the island with the impression that I was coming down from another planet. Ponzo's fate has been taken up by the new African Primatological Society, or APS, which held its first Congress this year to respond to a catastrophe that may see more than half of Africa's primate species doomed to disappear. In the large island nation of Madagascar alone, off the Southeast African mainland coast, about 85% of the famous wide-eyed lemur population is threatened. Ponzo's story is rather touching, says the APS president, the Ivorian Inza Kohn, who's also director of the Swiss Center for Scientific Research in Ivory Coast, or CSRS. A plan to transfer the ape to a sanctuary in Zambia was mooted by NGOs to end his solitude. But Ivorian authorities refused, arguing that Ponzo was a non-transferable Ivorian citizen, Kohn adds. Ponzo's salvation has become a textbook case for African primatologists confronted with poaching, deforestation, and the need to mobilize resources to help animals. From a scientific and even ethical point of view, it's clear that Ponzo must be brought out of this situation of isolation as soon as possible. There are 2 methods: sending him company or taking him somewhere else, Kohn says. Specialists are wary, however, about finding companionship for Ponzo, since nobody has clearly explained the deaths and disappearances on his island in the last 20 years. One school of thought holds out for prolonged care and company, arguing that to move Ponzo elsewhere would be admitting an inability to protect the last primates in the tropical forest, where their ecological worth is incontestable. These great apes are cousins with whom we share 80% of our genes. A single family lives in a very large territory, 25 square kilometers or 9.6 square miles, and can travel 15 kilometers or 9 miles per day. All along the route, it eats and leaves waste and grains that grow to make the space green again, says Basiro Bonfa, chief director of the CSRS. Most people see the creation of a chimpanzee sanctuary as the most viable solution. The sanctuary will reproduce the natural life setting of the animal and enable him to be in contact with his fellow apes, Kohn says. African primatologists are ready to back this project. but count on a political will to help, which they have so far found insufficient. Ponzo is the torchbearer of this initiative to create a sanctuary in Ivory Coast, Cone says. We have to hope that the efforts to set it up get there before it's too late.